Our very own Dan Graziano, who covers the Giants for us, was there and actually got a question in as well, a good one at that. And he joins us right now on the phone. Dan, it's Michael and Don. How are you?
Great, guys. How are you?
We're doing all right. I felt somewhat unfulfilled. I felt a little empty. Yeah, he spoke, but what did he really say today?
Yeah, he didn't deliver the Adam Silver moment, right? Where, everybody, what's Adam Silver going to say? Oh, wow, that was perfect. No, it was not that. This was much more NFL, much more corporate, much more, lawyerly. And, one of the takeaways was our policies have failed us. They need to be updated. We're going to ask a whole bunch of people outside this organization what they think in terms of how to update it, and we'll get back to you.
And he started it off by saying, hey, my bad, I made the mistake. Yeah. And even though he's not an elected official, so it really doesn't matter what you, I, or any of the fans think, because none of us are walking away from the sport, can you logically think that the person that made the colossal mistake can be the guy that's now in charge to correct everything?
Well, I think that's what's interesting. Now, he made it clear that he's open to relinquishing his stranglehold on the personal conduct policy, and I think, that's a big step for him. The union has fought him on that for years, and he never wanted to give up control of that. So I think he was kind of saying no, that he needs help on this, that he's not really going to be the one going forward that's going to be that judge, jury, executioner kind of role that he's had and seemed to have enjoyed for years. So I do think there's going to be change. I think what everybody wanted was to hear today what the change was going to be, and they don't have it done yet, so he couldn't deliver that. To a certain extent, that's understandable, but it's not satisfying. I think that speaks to what Michael said right at the beginning of our conversation. You're a little bit unfulfilled, and I think that's fair.
And one thing that scares me, though, Dan, let's say that, God forbid, another such incident takes place tomorrow. So we're in the same mess. They don't have any policy.
Right. And so you're in this limbo that Jonathan Dwyer is in, where they put him on non-football illness list, which I don't even know. Did they spin a wheel and it landed on non-football illness list, and that's how they decided what to do with Jonathan Dwyer, because I didn't know he was sick. But, yes, that's a problem. In the meantime, they're flailing still. Now, yes, we're working on it. We'll figure it out. And they've come with the union. They've come to this realization that they can use this commissioner's exempt list that Greg Hardy is now on and Adrian Peterson is now on, which is basically leave without pay, or leave with pay, excuse me. So that's available to them while they get this other thing developed. They did announce a new domestic violence policy on August 28th, as he kept saying, that establishes a 6-game suspension for a first offense. But what they can't figure out is at what stage of the legal process that triggers. Is it conviction? Is it arrest? Is it admission of guilt? So they're still trying to dance around the legal matter. We've talked about the differences. Greg Hardy was found guilty by a judge. Adrian Peterson admitted wrongdoing. Ray McDonald still denies what he did and hasn't been found guilty by anyone, so he's at a different stage. So to discipline him, it's not apples to apples with those other guys. So that's the dance they still are stuck doing. And again, they're not announcing anything that supersedes that. And I guess it's because they fear, that they'll be violating people's legal rights.
And Dan, he was asked many times, did he think of resigning? Should he go? I mean, that's still kind of up in the air, because with this investigation, if we find out that videotape was in his hands or in the hands of the NFL, there's still a possibility that he may have to answer to that with his job, right?
I think so. I think if the investigation is truly independent and it reveals a cover-up, then yes, he would be in his job would and should be in danger. Now, in the question of did he consider resigning, I think like anyone else who has a $44 million a year job, the answer is probably no, because who would give that up? But yes, I think it still could come to a point. The owners support him, but quite clearly, of all factions of ownership, owners that can't stand each other are united in support of Roger Goodell. But if it's found out that he covered up a serious allegations against Ray Rice and tried to bury the video and all that gets too ugly, I think, for the owners to put up with. So if the investigation is legitimate and that's what it turns up, he still is in some trouble, but he doesn't seem like a guy who's worried about it.
Dan Graziano, our Giants reporter here on the Michael Kay Show. He was at the press conference today with Roger Goodell. Now, Goodell seemed like he was undergoing root canal. That was not fun for him. But I think the testiest exchange was the one with the TMZ reporter. He really didn't have a good answer, so he kind of snapped at the guy. But that tape is the smoking gun in all this. Right.
I mean, you're not going to. He could have said to TMZ, "Well, you guys pay for your information, and everyone knows that." So, that's the answer to your question. But he's insult people's intelligence. Yeah. I mean, yes, that's a good question. Why did TMZ get it? The NFL has money too. It could have paid for that tape just as easily as TMZ could have. So that's a good. How did we find it and you guys didn't? The lingering questions about Ray Rice are the biggest issue still hanging over this man's head personally, in terms of his ability to hold on to his job. What happened today in terms of domestic violence and personal conduct policy, there honestly was some good and bad. The stuff that he announced early on about the partnerships with the domestic violence groups, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, they're actually providing funding and resources to that organization. That's a positive thing. That's a good thing for the NFL to do. They have money. They're gonna help out in this particular case. That, if he's to be believed, then that hotline